reading us page 166 from Inside of a Dog. The dog observes us, thinks about us, knows us. Do they then have some special knowledge about us, born of their attention to us and to our attention? They do. In a non-verbal way, dogs know who we are. They know what we do, and they know some things about us unknown to ourselves. We're knowable by look, and even more so by our smells. Over and above that, how we act defines who we are. Part of my recognition of Pumpernickel is not just of her visage. It is of her walk, her slightly off-kilter, jaunty trot, with her droopy ears bouncing in step. For dogs, too, the identity of a person is not just how she smells and looks, it is how she moves. We are recognizable by our behavior, even our most ordinary behavior. Walking across a room is our characteristic style. It's chock full of information that the dog can mine. All dog owners watch their pups' growing sensitivity to the rituals that precede going for what, in many dogs people's household, is called a W-A-L-K walk, with an asterisk. Spelling the word instead of saying it is, of course, usually futile. Dogs can also learn the connection between the cadence of a spelled word and a subsequent walk, even if the latter does not immediately follow the former. On the other hand, used in an unlikely context, say sitting in the bath, the spelled word will not evoke much interest. Chances are slim you're about to up and take a walk when naked and sudsy. Dogs quickly learn to recognize shoe donning. Of course, we come to expect that grabbing a leash or a jacket will clue them in. A regular walk time explains their prescience. But what if all you did was look up from your work or rise from your seat before your dog was on to you? If done suddenly, or if you cross the room with a purposeful stride, an attentive dog has all the information he needs. Habitual watchers of your behavior, he sees your intent, even when you think you're giving nothing away. As we've seen, dogs are very sensitive to gaze, and thus to changes in our gaze. The difference between a head lifted up or angled down, away from them or toward them, is large for an animal so sensitive to eye contact. Even small movements of the hands or adjustments of the body attract notice. Spend 3 hours looking at a computer screen, hands tethered to the keyboard, then look up and stretch your arms overhead. This is a metamorphosis. The redirection of your attention is clear, and a hopeful dog can easily interpret it as a prelude to a walk. An acute human observer would notice this too, but we rarely let others oversee us so closely in our daily affairs, nor do we find it terribly interesting to oversee. Their facility at anticipation of our actions is part autonomy and part psychology. Anatomy. Their anatomy, all those rod photoreceptors, allows them a millisecond head start on noticing motion. They react before we see that there is something to react to. The critical psychologies are of anticipation, predicting the future from the past, and of association. Familiarity with your typical movements is necessary in order to so anticipate you. A new puppy might not be tricked by a faint tennis ball toss, but with age, he will be. Even without familiarity, dogs are skilled at making associations between events, between the arrival of one's mother and the delivery of food, between a shift in your focus and the promise of a walk. Dogs pick up the theme of our habits and thus are especially sensitive to variations in them. Just as we often take the same route to our cars, to work, to the subway, we take our dog on similar walks. Over time, they learn the route themselves and can anticipate that we turn left past the hedgerow and make a sharp right at the corner with the fire plug. If we introduce a new detour on our way home, even an unnecessary one, circling around the block an additional go, dogs adjust to the new route after just a few outings. They even begin heading in the direction of the detour before their owners make any movements in that direction. This makes them fine, cooperative walking companions, better than many humans. I sure run into plenty as I walk my route in the city. The complement of dogs' anticipatory prowess is their purported character reading ability. Plenty of people let their dogs choose their potential romantic partners. Others declare their dog a good judge of character, able to spot a duplicitous person, a bad sort, on first meeting. They may seem to recognize someone who is not to be trusted. Asterisk. While dogs may in fact distinguish between people behaving subtly differently, one suspects that anyone using their dogs this way might be susceptible to what psychologists call confirmation bias, noticing just that part of their dog's response that supports their own theories about the person. Does the gentleman seem a bit untrustworthy to you? And yes, look how your dog growled at him once. That settles it. Dogs become amplifiers of our own beliefs. We can attribute to them that which we think ourselves. What this ability might come down to is their close looking at our looking. If you feel hesitant about an approaching stranger, you reveal it, however unintentionally. Dogs are, as we have seen, sensitive to the olfactory changes that come with stress. They could also notice tensing muscles and the auditory change of quick breathing or gasping. These psychological changes are among those measured by lie detectors. One might imagine that a trained dog could substitute both for the machine and its tech. But they will let their visual ability trump those notes when assessing a new person or trying to solve a problem. We all have characteristic behaviors we display when angry, nervous, or excited. Untrustworthy people often glance furtively in conversation. Dogs notice this gaze. An aggressive stranger may make bold eye contact, move unnaturally, slowly, or quickly, or veer oddly from a straight path before doing any actual aggression. Dogs notice the behavior. They react viscerally to the meeting of eyes. One winter, we took a trip north to a place of assertive winter and genuine cold, and were treated to a large snowstorm. We pulled out sleds, found a great big hill, and proceeded to plow an erratic track down it. Pumpernickel was suddenly overcome with furiously pursued us on each ride downhill, biting and grabbing. Growling at our faces when it was my fast-moving, snow-covered face being attacked. I couldn't stop her for all my laughing. She was playing, but it was a play I have not seen before, tinged with real aggression. When I managed to rise and shake off the covering of snow I gathered on the way down, she calmed at once. Does this clairvoyance mean that dogs can't be fooled? No, they are astute watchers, but they are not mind readers, nor are they immune from being misled. I was changed for Pumpernickel when I leapt on that sled. I was horizontal. I was enrobed in snow gear and snow, and most critically, I was moving entirely differently. I was suddenly a smoothly moving, high-speed prey animal, not an uptight, ambling companion. My dog may have a particular interest in sledders, but her behavior is similar to many other dogs' chasing behaviors. Dogs often chase bicyclists, skateboarders, rollerbladers, cars, or runners. The general purpose answer given for why they do this is usually that they have an instinct to chase prey. The answer is not entirely wrong, but it is mightily incomplete. It is not quite that dogs think of these objects or persons as prey, per se. Your motion reveals another dimension to you. You roll quickly. It is an attribute. It is an attribute that alters you in the dog's eyes, which are especially responsive to a certain kind of motion. Mounting and riding a bicycle, you have not turned to prey, as indicated by the fact that your dog greets you, not eats you on dismount. Their responsive sensitivity probably evolved as a prey detection tactic, but it will be applied variously. It leads to the dog's experience an additional way to interpret objects and animals in the environment. That way is by the quality of their motion. Thank you for listening.